Hey everyone, welcome back to Hyper's Mods. Today we're diving into how to get started with modding in ARK Survival Ascended. I'll walk you through installing the dev kit, share some must-have resources to make learning easier, and give you some tips and tricks to smooth out the whole process. We'll also cover how to create, test, upload, and manage your mods. So by the end of the video, you'll be ready to bring your own ideas to life in ARK. Before we get too far into the video, if you're just here wondering if maybe you can run the dev kit and you haven't done modding before, I have here the minimum recommended by Epic Games and then the ideal recommended by Epic Games. And you can kind of look over these if you want. The recommended from me personally as a modder that's experienced with Unreal Engine and ARK dev kit, I recommend having as much RAM as you can get, and I recommend at least a 2 terabyte SSD. The recommended CPU, this is a good CPU, honestly. Your higher gen i5s, i7s, i9s, those are all fine. Those are good. Ideally, 64 gigs of RAM. You can do 32, but that's my minimum. 16 you could get away with, but you're gonna struggle. It'll run, but you're gonna struggle. And your GPUs, I've seen people get away with some very old GPUs, so as long as you have enough RAM, GPU will be okay. If you can run ARK on medium to high settings without screen tearing and on a decent frame rate, at least 30 FPS, you'll be able to run the dev kit. If you want to run it and you want to load things quickly and you want to go through things very smoothly, everything takes time to load, but the higher end your PC is, the more smooth it will be. To get started, you want to head over to Epic Games website and you'll want to go over, and if you don't have an account, you'll want to make one. And I already have an account, so I'm not going to show that process. And you'll just download the launcher if you don't have it. You just click download here, and then you'll go to your downloads, and then you'll activate the application. Once you've installed and launched Epic Games Launcher, you'll open to this window. This is the store. If you've never had the ARK dev kit before, you can go here and you can type in the ARK dev kit, and it's listed here. For me, it's inside my library already, but for you, there'll be potentially 2 buttons here to click. You'll want to get the main branch or the one that doesn't say beta. For beginners, I don't recommend getting the beta. The size of the software itself is 1 terabyte, relatively. I recommend putting it on a drive that has at least 2 terabytes so that you can add your mods and your other marketplace assets or whatever you're trying to add. Click the not beta branch, download that, and it will bring you to a window where it looks as though you have to purchase it. It's a free purchase. Just continue and hit enter as well, and then it'll pop up in your library and you can install it. And then you want to make sure you keep track of where you install it to, and then you can create a shortcut if you want, but I'll show you an easy way to access that later. And this is a very large download, so it may take you a while depending on your internet and your bandwidth. I'll be using the beta, but it matches the main very closely, so all the buttons and all of the things are the same, just some of the files will have beta in the name. Once it's installed, you don't really want to use the Epic Games Launcher anymore to launch the game, because the ARK dev kit does have a tendency to crash, especially when you're learning. And sometimes this Epic Games Launcher will say that it's running even though it's not. And it's very annoying. It's a very common issue to run into. And there's an easy way around it, and I'll show you that now. If you go to your file explorer and you remember where you downloaded it, I'll show you mine here, ARK dev kit. Mine says beta. You're just looking for ARK dev kit if that's the one you downloaded. There's a file here that's a batch file. It says RunEditorSDK. If you double click this, it will launch the ARK editor. And you want to add this to your desktop or add this to however you want to launch it, or just remember where it's at. And just double click this to launch the dev kit. It's much better, and it doesn't rely on the Epic Games Launcher. It bypasses all that, so you don't even have to worry about it. Once you launch the dev kit, you'll see a bar somewhere on the screen, usually toward the center, that says loading hierarchy or loading assets. It'll say something about the hierarchy, maybe building it. I don't remember exactly what it says. But you want to wait for that to finish before you start messing with any of your files. Usually the dev kit won't let you do anything until that's finished. The first time you load the dev kit, it will take quite some time. The recent 5.5 update, it's loaded substantially faster for most things, but there is a memory leak. So I have a substantial amount of memory. It takes a while for it to happen to me, but there are some people that have lower memory cap, and that it will reach that cap quite a bit faster, so they'll just run into a random crash based on how long you've had the dev kit open and how many things you've loaded in that time. That can be frustrating. Just make sure you save quite often And that doesn't happen to everyone. And you can keep track of that by opening the task manager and just paying attention to your memory usage. Once it reaches about 98, it'll probably start slowing down substantially. And then you can just close the editor and then restart it. And it'll start rebuilding that memory until it reaches 98, 99. It'll crash usually around 99 depending on the computer. I don't recall what the default scene looks like, so I'll just go over a couple of things. If you click the content drawer down here or click Control Space, it will pop up and you can hit Dock and Layout, and that will make it stay up like this as a kind of a panel in your window. And if you want multiple content browsers like I have one on the left here and I have one on the bottom. You can go to Window and Content Browser and you can enable as many as you want, and you can drag these out in whichever place you want, really. And down here is a mod that I'm working on. This is the Monarchy mod. Over here is a folder for the mod templates that I'm going to go over here in just a moment. On the side here, you can enable the world settings and different things. The world settings is for your PrimalGameData, so if you type in game over here, your PrimalGameData will go here, and this is mod specific, and you can turn on persistent player. That also has stuff to do with the bat file. The ARK modding wiki has some information on how to enable persistent player. I'll add that resource to the end of this video, as well as the Discord and several other things to make it easier for you to learn. I have here the folder for the default mod templates, and all it does is when you create a new mod is it copies these files into a new mod folder, the content folder for the mod. When you do a blink mod, it copies these. So it's just a level, ModDataAsset, PrimalGameData, and test map. This is a copy of the wildcard test map. You go to creature template. It will offer a custom stego and its files, as well as a saddle, the engram, and the primal item. And then if you go to, I don't think default buff is actually used. I don't think this is available, if I remember correctly. The flyer template. This is a flying creature for you to edit and play with as much as you want. The outfit. So this offers all of the shirt, pants, helmet, gloves, etc. if you wanted to make a custom outfit. This is not a custom cosmetic. This is a server-based outfit. You could change it to be a custom cosmetic, but they haven't updated the template since they made custom cosmetics. So these are all server mod. A structure mod. This offers the old default structure pieces that you could edit if you want. This does not include the new ones. Ranged weapon, it looks like a rifle. So if you wanted to edit a rifle, you could do that. And then this is an advanced version if you wanted to copy this one. I don't think this is offered as a template. None of the advanced ones are offered. You have to copy those yourself if you want to. And that's just going over some of the templates that we'll look at when we go to create a mod here in just a moment. I recommend not using any of the templates, but if, as a beginner, and you are interested in what you might need and what it would look like to make a custom thing, you feel free to make a test mod and play with as many of these as you like. To make a mod yourself, you go to UGC here at the top, you go to create a mod, and I always recommend making a blank mod, especially if you know what you're going to make. If you go down to use any of these, as I said, the advanced ones are not available. These are all the kind of like lower end templates. The creature one, you're probably not going to make a stego, and if you are, it's amazing, but 99% of people are probably going to make something that's not even related to a stego. So I don't recommend using that if you're going to make that. A new structure mod, it's kind of awkward. I like to make sure that I add everything I need, and when it's already there, it doesn't really work for me. The ranged weapon, I would never use any of these on my own. I would just make it as I need it instead of it being there and remembering to edit it. These are great for people that want to use them or want to look at them, but I've never actually used any of these templates myself. But feel free to if you don't want to. Again, I click the blank mod almost every time. Sometimes I'll click empty mod, but blank mod is where I go. And then we will name it Hypers New. And here you can't add spaces because this is a file name. I believe if you add anything other than underscores, it will get mad at you. So equal, it's not alphanumeric. And I think you can add dashes. It might get mad at you later though. If you add parentheses, you have to add numbers or letters or underscore. I believe they all have to be alphanumeric, but you can add numbers, so we can add as many numbers as we want. The author, this doesn't actually matter. I don't know where this would ever pop up at other than inside the actual mod files, but sometimes I type my name. I think I've typed Bob the Builder for a couple of these. It's just not required for you to put your name or anyone's name in there. The description, this again is never used anywhere, so you can type whatever you want. That doesn't actually matter. The author UI URL, that doesn't matter either, as far as I'm aware. I've never filled that in. So I have over 100 mods. That's not required. Is beta version. I, again, don't think that's used for anything. You can leave all that blank, and you can put in your author name if you want. It's also not required. I've left it blank. I've put in random things. This doesn't even apply for mod recovery because they don't usually recover files if you lose them. So it's all connected on CurseForge. You don't need to put your name or anything here. The only thing that's required is the name of the mod. And this is the content name. You can change the name of the mod later, but this is the name of the file. The name of the file never changes. And the only people that ever see it is if they go to add your primal item and beacon or your engram and beacon. Your mod files will have this at the beginning. And it's also good to note to keep this as unique as possible, because if two mods have the same root folder, then they are incompatible with each other. So if I copied my monarchy name here and did it again here, you couldn't use both those mods on the same server. Only the one in the first that came first in the load order would actually work because they have the same root file. So it's good to know. I've never made a Hypers new mod here, so I'm not actually going to upload this mod currently. So I'll add some arbitrary numbers to the end just because I can. And then once you've typed in the name and you've typed in everything you want to, before you click create mod, click your template again, because I don't know if this is still a current bug or if they fixed it. It used to, if you didn't click it again at the end, sometimes it would just make an empty folder and then you would have to make another mod, and it was very frustrating. So I recommend once you're done typing, click blank mod again and then hit create mod. And this takes from 30 seconds to 3 minutes, depending on what template you used. All right, it took about 2 minutes in total. I cut to when it was finished just so we didn't have to stare at it load. It will potentially look like it's frozen or crashed. A very good way to tell that the dev kit has not crashed, and this applies to the Unreal Engine as well, is if you go to your app bar down here, and this is the console. If you can right click it and this white window appears with the restore, move, size, minimize, this window here. If this appears, it is not crashed. If you can't right click it and that window doesn't appear, you're in the process of crashing. That is a fantastic way. It's always worked. It's never not worked for me. Usually if it's frozen like this and I'm in the middle of a big project and I wasn't expecting a crash, I'll take the moment of it being frozen to pay attention to what wasn't saved. There's an asterisk that appears on the side of the assets that are not saved, and that will help me remember when it reloads what I might need to fix. Going back to our assets here, as you can see, it copied the level, the ModDataAsset, which is the pink one. The blue one is the PrimalGameData. And then this is our test map. I recommend whenever you create a new mod, always double click this test map and load it. Doesn't take long. It will always look like this and you'll be in the same spot every time. And this is your test map for your mod. If you don't load this test map and you switch over the PrimalGameData this way, every time there's an ARK update, it'll reset and you'll lose anything that was in that test map. And this way also, if you're testing things from your mod, you can drop them in here, you can test them as you want to go, and it makes it very easy. And you can also click any of this stuff. You can delete whatever you want to delete. You can move whatever you want to move, resize it. You can do whatever you want in this test map. It's yours. And then to undo, you can just Control-Z. It will add all that back. Unless you're making a map, you don't need a level. There's no reason to have that file. So we can delete this one. It says blank mod and it's a level file. Now, the PrimalGameData and the ModDataAsset are technically required. The PrimalGameData is required unless you're making a map. And if you're making a map, you can kind of just stop here because I'm not going over anything making a map. This is all for non-map mods. The PrimalGameData is required. The ModDataAsset is highly recommended because it loads way faster than the PrimalGameData, and these are linked. The only reason this exists is for mods specifically, and it inputs its information into the PrimalGameData. It's stackable, it works very well, and the PrimalGameData, if you open it, it takes forever, and it includes a lot of information that's not always relevant to mods, and many of the things you'll never even have to touch or look at. And the ModDataAsset includes everything that's stackable and plays well with other mods. And the test map is just recommended so that you can test all of your new creations, and it pertains to your own mod. I recommend renaming these, and the 5.5 ARK Dev Kit includes a batch rename, so you can search for blank mod, and it shows you the current names on this side, and it shows you what they will be named on the right side. So we're going to replace blank mod with underscore HNM, because that is Hyper's new mod, so it's just the abbreviations for it. It's a mod tag. I have over 100 mod files in here. Adding a mod tag to all those assets makes it really easy to tell what I should be using and what I shouldn't be using, because I can just hover over it and see what mod it's a part of. It cuts out a lot of the guessing. So as you can see, it's just going to add underscore HNM. 3 letters is usually pretty good. You can do 4, you can add a number, you can add whatever you want to the end of it. It doesn't matter. It's just you want to add something that identifies it as part of a different file. Then we'll do apply, and it will do that. And as you can see, they're renamed. And the test map that comes with your new mod already has your PrimalGameData loaded into it, so you don't have to worry about that. And then these are already connected, so if we right click and we reference viewer this, they're already connected here. So that's a good way to tell that they're linked without opening the PrimalGameData. Again, that takes forever. There's almost no reason to, unless you need to fix the link between those two. Set up your first mod. In this video, I'm not going to cover how to do anything related to your mod, because everyone does different things. Not everyone has the same ideas. I will go over a couple of things that you might need depending on what you're making. You'll new folder, weapon, and then you'll do this again. So we'll do Stone Club, and we'll want to click this one and then click select. You'll name it whatever you are trying to make. So I'm not really making anything. This is just to show you. So weapon, Stone Club B2. And then we'll do this again. Blueprint class. We'll do Stone Club. And for engram entries, don't copy the base entry, because there's C++ that we don't have access to, and we can't even see it in the dev kit. So always make a new primal engram entry and then name it engram entry. The name isn't required, but for people adding your stuff through Beacon, they can identify it through the manifest file and say, oh, that's the file I need, instead of asking you what you named it 1,000 times. Highly recommended. And good naming conventions is just all around a great idea. So Stone Club B2. And then the final one that is a great idea, and you technically don't need it, but it's recommended unless you know what you're doing, is the item club. This is the primal item. This is what you'll use to equip the item or the weapon. And the engram entry is how players will craft your item. It's not required, but it's recommended. If you don't use an engram entry, you will have to add another way to obtain the item, whether it's through an admin command or drop by a dinosaur or whatever. You'll have to add another way for it. B2. And then you'll want to link these together. So we'll open the engram entry, and then you'll just add, you'll click your primal item here, you'll add it there. This is the level that you want the player to be to receive the engram or to be able to unlock it. This is the required engram points. This checkbox means that they can craft it inside their inventory. Manually unlocked, if this is not checked, that means that you'll have to unlock it through a boss fight or something, and you'll have to add that logic somewhere else, usually in a CCA. I'm not going to talk about that today. So leave this checked if you want them to be able to click it in their engram menu and unlock it. Tech engram, auto unlock engram. So this allows them to unlock it when they spawn, or it auto unlocks when they spawn, similar to the club. Tech engram means that it appears at the bottom of all the engrams with all the other techs. This drop down depends on what DLC it's connected to. This is mainly for the filtering inside the engram menu. It's not really required, just do ARK Prime. The category, you can change this, mod specific, that's up to you. You can change the requirements for the engram here. So if we wanted you to require to unlock, say, I have a lot of mod engram entries. We'll just do stone hatchet. So that means to unlock our engram, they have to unlock the stone hatchet. An extra engram description. In the engram entries, this will add text on top of the item description, describing maybe how you unlock it or various other things you could do with that. but this text doesn't appear on the item itself. It's only the engram. That also applies when they go to craft it in their inventory as well. And then we can open the item. And then we can just type in club. And then we will connect our weapon here. So weapon stone club v2. You can change the icon, the name, the material. This is for dyeing. So when they change the color of the item, it'll change the color of the icon as well. There are many things you can edit here. I'm not going to go over them all. This is just how to set up modding. I'm not going to tell you what your ideas are, and I'm not going to guess what they are either. Hit save all. Now these items are connected together, but you need to connect them to the ModDataAsset. So we're going to go to additional engram classes, or additional engram blueprint classes. That's a mouthful. And we're going to add our engram here. And that's pretty much done. Now it's connected to our ModDataAsset. It will cook with the mod, and it's good to go. I did not add any extra functionality. This is just a club. It's going to appear at level 0, and it's going to cost 1 point. And they can manually unlock it, and they can craft it in their inventory. That's all that I did there. No extra anything. And if you've already entered Pi, which is the play in editor, you'll do that by clicking this green play button, and you'll spawn over here next to these player starts, and then you'll load in. You'll be able to play in the dev kit as if you were playing ARK. If you've already done that, you'll need to reset the cache. This is a common issue for ASA, and all beginners will run into it and they'll think they're crazy. If you edit this pink ModDataAsset, this pink asset here, and you've already loaded into Pi, the change will not take place in the map. You need to go to world settings, type in game, go to PrimalGameData override. You need to clear this. You need to load into Pi. This will take just a moment. This is the first time I've done it since I launched the dev kit. This always takes an extra bit of time. Only the first time. Every time after that will be much faster. First time you start Pi, you might see some of these errors. These are just assets that are loaded that may have some sort of blueprint compile error. If there are not any files inside your mod and they're not any on your map, you can just hit play in editor and it'll skip all that. And this window will pop up as well, saying there's a lot of errors. You can ignore pretty much all those. And once we've loaded in, you can just hit escape to cancel Pi, and then you can add your PrimalGameData back here, and then you can hit play again, and it'll load much faster this time. So I went back and I changed this to level 1 so it appears at level 1. If you do it at level 0, the engram will appear all the way at the bottom of the engrams list, which is inconvenient. So just change it to level 1 at least, unless you want it to intentionally go all the way to the bottom. And we'll restart Pi here. Since I didn't change the ModDataAsset, I don't need to recache it. I don't need to load it. I don't need to clear this, load Pi, exit it, add the PrimalGameData, and then load it again. That's only if you change the ModDataAsset or the PrimalGameData itself. Now, when we go to our engrams here, here's our club that we made. Now, I haven't added any changes or anything. This is just a base, essentially. There's nothing new about it other than it's just a new engram at a different level. It does the same damage. If I craft it and equip it, it's just a club. So there's no changes. Now that we have our club, I'll go ahead and show you how to upload it. If you see anything here that's not inside your mod, you can just click this checkbox, and then you can click the checkbox for what's inside of your mod, and then you can save that. You don't really want to save anything that's not inside your mod just because it's all base game files. You don't want to edit base game files because it will make modding things more difficult for you in the future, and you'll have to verify your files to make sure all the values are correct. Because if you go and edit, say, a dodo, and you change its name or you change its stats, and then you want to make a buff that edits those stats, and then your base values are different, so maybe your math's going to be wrong, or it can cause some weird issues. You're not going to mess up the base games for anyone's game that uses your mod, but it will be more difficult for you to do things. And say if you go edit the base game dodo, that's not going to upload with your mod at all. So if you edit the dodo and you think that, oh, well, I changed it, now that's going to change all the dodos in the game, that's not how that works. Mods only upload the things inside their mod folder. So for us right now, the only thing I've added is a club. That's the only thing this mod's going to do. It's only going to add a club, and that's it. Nothing else. nothing new. It's not going to change any dinos. It's not going to make it spawn. It's not even going to spawn in drops. The only thing it does is it allows players to craft it in their inventory if they unlock the engram that's at level 1. It doesn't do anything else. And if I go and edit the dodo, it's not going to edit dodos on people's games or anything. So we can close these because we're done with them for right now. So to upload a mod, to start it cooking, you will go to CurseForge.com and you'll create an account, and it will tell you to sign in to CurseForge. You can continue with Google, Twitch, Discord, or GitHub. I recommend using Google or Twitch, and make sure that you know the email that you use to sign into that account, because that's the same email that you're going to type in when you go to UGC and share mod. And you're going to be presented with a bar to type in your email, and you're going to type in the same email that's used for the account you signed into CurseForge, and then it will email you a code once you type that in, and then go to that email, find the code, and type that in, and you'll hit enter. Don't paste the code because this UI has an issue with pasting. The font will be wrong. It will be a bunch of A's when you go to type in the code. Just type in the correct numbers in the right order, and it will go through fine. Once we've gotten past that point, we can click this drop down and find the name of the mod that you just made. For our case, it's Hypers new mod 5 and a bunch of numbers. I have over 100 mods here, so this may take me just a second. There is a bar on the side that you can use to scroll if you don't want to use your scroll wheel. So Hyper, sometimes it's at the bottom. Yeah, so it sometimes pops up at the bottom because it's a new entry, and then when you restart the dev kit, it will appear kind of in the area of the H's. They're not in alphabetical order, but they are usually grouped together relatively well. So we can click that, and this is a new mod. It's never been uploaded before. So in my case, I'm doing cross-platform. I assume most everyone's going to do cross-platform. If you don't want it to be on Xbox and PlayStation, you can click PC only. I recommend sticking with whichever one you pick, because if you do PC only and then you switch to cross-platform, there are bugs that are involved with that. It's usually pretty smooth, but some people will have issues. And if you go cross-platform PC only, there's still the same bugs. So I'm going to do cross-platform, and then this is where you type in the actual mod name. Again, this is changeable at any point and is not set in stone. It's very easy to change the mod name. I recommend just doing something simple, and this does not have to be alphanumeric, so you can add quotations, you can add hyphens, parentheses, whatever you want to add. So we're just going to do Hypers new mod and then upload an image. I recommend this being a square image, so 1:1 ratio. When I upload mods, I always do the same one. It's just my logo, and then I'll change it later. This you can change at any point as well. It's very easy to change, but it has to be 1:1 with a minimum of 400, 400. Then my icon is 1:1 and it's 400, 400, so that applies very well. And you can change the category here. This is just the search category. If you do a custom cosmetic, that one will list it as a custom cosmetic. They can download it as such. That's the only one that's really different. The other ones are just what they're searched as. You can't upload anything as an Arkathon winner. That's just a category for actual Arkathon winners from the beginning of last year, I believe. So if you click that one, it will just go into general, I believe. So we can click general. The mod summary is what pops up when you copy and paste the link for the mod into Discord. It'll pop up the mod icon and the summary underneath it with the title and the mod author as well. So for this one, we'll just put in a bunch of E's for now. It doesn't really matter that much. The mod description does have to be it has to explain what the mod is or has at the very least. Your documentation can be included, but it's not required. For us, I will just say YouTube case mod for club, and then if it's not 100 characters, you can just add some extra characters. It does have to be at least 100, and it has to represent what the mod is. You can include your Discord, you can include links, you can include all that. And again, you can change the description once it's uploaded. I'll show you that again in just a moment. So once you have all this entered, you just hit continue, and it will have this, and this will fill up with how fast it uploads. This mod is incredibly small. So as you can see, 0, it counts in megabytes. So if it's less than a megabyte, it just rounds. If it's more, so if you have a bunch of mesh or skeletal mesh textures, it'll say, you know, its process of 700 megabytes or however much it is. And this is your general upload speed to the server. It varies, so don't worry too much about that. And then that was an autosave. So we'll close this. And for the moment, we can close the ARK Dev Kit. So now we're over on CurseForge's website. This is my profile. and this has all my projects, including all the projects that I'm with other authors. So this is for Jams. This is one of his premium mods. He listed me as a contributor for it, so it shows here. If you're the owner, it shows the owner tag to the top left. I'm not the owner of this mod, so it doesn't show that here. If you click up here on the top right on your icon, assuming you're logged in, you can go to Dashboard, and this is where you'll see all your projects. Most of you won't see this reward store unless you work on Minecraft or something else. This is a reward system for Minecraft and other games that they use for mods. Issues, I have never seen this number not be 0. This requires someone to log into CurseForge and post an issue about a mod that you have. I think anyone knows how to do that, so no one's ever done it. The private messages up here on the top right, I believe they're going to revamp that here soon, and this is for anyone to message you with issues about your mod. This is a different system, and it's not connected to this system, and people do know how to message you on on CurseForge, so you may see that every now and then. This bell is for notifications related to uploading and processing mod files. As you can see, the status of your file, Hyper's new mod, the one we just uploaded, has changed. So now it's in the processing stage, meaning that it's accepting the files. And the statistics, this is all the mod downloads. This is very helpful. These are what we call dirty numbers. So the weekly downloads, for custom cosmetics, this is anytime anyone goes near another player and forces them to download mod to be able to see their custom cosmetic. These are all dirty downloads. This is my total project downloads. This is monthly. This is the total for the month. And this is per mod. So Discovery World had 18,000. Discovery World seems to have the most out of most of these. And then you can see H&N Chibis kind of bumped up, Blue Grabber bumped up. That one was Elite ARK Utilities, my offline raid protection mod, etc. And you can scroll through these. Again, I have 100, so this graph looks very colorful for me. It won't look that way for you. And then again, revenue, premium mods. You don't have to worry about these unless you have premium mods, in which case you probably won't be watching this video. If you have premium mods, you're a bit higher, you're a bit past beginner. If you have premium mods. And then the Cloud Cooker stats. This is supposed to represent the state of the current Cloud Cooker for CurseForge, and it tells you how many files are in queue, the success rate of cooks, the medium cook time. This is cool to have, but I feel like it's incorrect sometimes. I don't look at it very often. But if we go back to our dashboard and then we click View Projects, we can see our new upload here, last updated 2 minutes ago. And then I believe you can filter through project status. You can filter by game. I only have one game on here, so it's not going to tell me that. You can filter by name. You can also click these and it will sort them alphabetically or by number. So if we click this and go descending, so 3 million Discovery World, 1 million H&M Wardrobe, you can kind of gauge some of these mods. Last updated, some of these deleted projects are the last update, and most recently updated would be these. I don't know why Loot Grabber was updated 11 hours ago. I'll have to look at that. But yeah, anyway, here's our mod, and it shows our description, shows our name and the picture we chose. And then the category is general, which is the one we chose as well. You also notice that the style of the website changed. This switched to the legacy website, which is the old one. It's way easier to work with in most cases. And when you're pushing files or you're updating things, I recommend using this. If you're updating the description of the mod and some of those things, you'll want to go over to the new one. Your mod will not have a new website version until after you upload it, or after you publish it rather. So as you can see, this one didn't change when I clicked it. This is the Monarchy mod, very documented. There's a lot of links here. It's very colorful. And you'll get access to this page after this cooks and you click the orange publish button up here at the top. But until then, you're stuck with the legacy page, which isn't nearly as pretty, but there's also less ads. So this has your comments, which are turned on for this mod. It has your gallery, so you can see and post pictures, as well as the files. As far as I'm aware, you can't publish files or manage the files very much from this page. You have to do that from the legacy. And the way to reach the legacy website from the new website is delete www at the beginning of the website and type in legacy and just hit enter. And that will bring you to the legacy version of the site. And now I can see these files. I can hit publish build and so on. I can even see the old old versions. So our mod, if we want to change the description and such, we can change the summary here, which is where we typed in a bunch of E's earlier. We can change the name here. We can choose a new logo. Again, it needs a 1-to-1 ratio of minimum 400. If you want to turn on comments, you can click this button. If you want to set up some donation links like Coffee and PayPal, you can do that. Patreon as well. The wiki link will add another button here that says wiki, and it will open the link that you paste here. So if you want to do your Discord, you can post your Discord link there. If you want to change the description, this is a modified markup as far as the formatting. ChatGPT does quite well for these, and I recommend publishing it and going to the new site to do this because you can add colors and stuff like that. It's a little bit easier to work with and you can see what it looks like. There's a lot of cases where this description will look very different in game. It's fairly frustrating and there's not much that we can do about it. CurseForge and Wildcard have said that they were going to fix it several times, and they have attempted to, but it's always led to other bugs. So just be aware of that. And if you go in game and it looks super pretty and very, very nice, just leave it like it is. Don't change it. That's all I can really recommend. But if you want to add a license, you can do that here as well. And that will, there's some like Creative Commons and so on, will allow you to take action against servers that try to sell your items for money. So if they add a donation package or whatever that includes your items, you can add one of these licenses. I don't remember which one it is. I think it's Creative Commons 4 or 3. You can take some sort of actions against that if you want. The issues are posted here as well. The members, they've changed this, it looks like, and you can add members for testing. You can invite members and then they'll have to accept manually through their email now. So if you wanted to add a tester so that they could access the mod via a server before it's published, you would add them this way. And you can delete project. You can also go to the source, and by default it's not publicly available, and unless you want to, you don't necessarily need to do that. Go back to project overview. All your members will be listed here. So if I go and I add someone as a contributor, like I said, for James, his mod, I'm listed as a contributor, I believe, here. So I'm listed as a tester for his mod, and so is H&N Studios, and I believe Nikosa might be, but I don't see his icon. That would be right there. And then again, gallery, and so on. This is a premium mod. Check that out if you're interested. So for pushing it after it's cooked, here is the status. So if we go to our page, go to files, the one at the top is the most recent. There's different statuses. There's cooking, there's processing, there's cooked, ready for review, and I think there's a couple more, but the only ones that you really need to worry about are cooking, ready for review, and then rejected and approved. Approved is what you want to end up at. That means that this update was approved for crossplay, it's good to go. If the mod isn't published, and you click publish, which will be an orange button up here, then it will publish to the last approved update. And you can't publish a mod that doesn't have an approved update. So version 1 is currently cooking, meaning that the files are cooking down into a state that the game can use them. It usually takes anywhere from 30 minutes to 12 hours, depending on what you're cooking. Maps can take a lot longer, and simple mods like this that aren't even a megabyte don't usually take that long. In fact, if I refresh this, I'd be surprised if it cooks for more than 10 minutes. And it was uploaded 11 minutes ago, so it should be being done cooking very soon. If we go over to Monarchy, I have a ready for review one here. If I click this, it will push it to CurseForge to be approved by moderation. And as long as it doesn't have any virtual currencies and go against the TOS for Xbox or Sony, then you will be good to go. And that's kind of a gray area. Mods can add virtual currencies, but they can't offer them for money, like real world money, as far as chop mods and gambling and so on. So if it's ready for review, you can click publish build and it will go to CurseForge moderation for them to say whether it's good or bad. The moderation team is in Israel, I believe. So for me, I'm in Central Standard Time. They're usually doing the approval process between 2 and 8 o'clock in the morning. I believe they stop around 9 in the morning for me, and that's Monday through Thursday. Sometimes they'll do an approval over the weekend, say Friday, Sunday, one of those days, but generally it's just Monday through Thursday, or Sunday through Thursday, I believe, and they'll approve it. and there's no notification saying that it's approved. The mod will just go live and that update's ready to go. So usually I wake up and I look to see if it's approved, and then I'll post the patch note after that fact. And while this is, after you push this button, it'll say waiting for approval or something to that effect, and you'll just have to wait until they approve it, and then you're done. Once you have an approved update, this mod is already published, so the button's not here, but there will be an orange button right here that says publish, and that means that you're making the mod live. It's available for the public to download and use, and then you can log into the game, you can download the mod, you can use it. If it's not published and you want to test it on, like, say, an Atrato server, you can add the project ID into the mod list in the INI, and then you put just -dev. So it's, we'll just search it here. So just mod ID and then -dev, and then you'll put a comma, the next mod, etc. And then anyone listed as a tester or an author or has the testing checkbox checked on their name will be able to log into that server. Anyone who does not have the ability to test or is not listed as a tester will not be able to log into that server at all. They won't be able to do anything with that server, and that's how you would test on a server. Custom cosmetics are not able to be tested unless you're in single player. If you are listed as a tester for a mod, you can log in to ARK, and as if you're going to play the game, as if you're going to download a mod, and then there's a My Mods tab. And then all of the mods that you're listed as a tester for will be there, and you can download the mod and you can launch it in single player or non-dedicated, which is a little bit different. There's no replication and stuff. I'm not going to go into all that. So there is a benefit to running it on a server, but just know that you can't run custom cosmetics on a server, as far as I'm aware. Now I'm going to go over some of the extra resources that you might need as a beginner. This will help you get started and to just try new things, maybe show you some things you might not know about. This is the Studio Wildcard documentation, and this has several good resources. This is where the changelog for the dev kit is posted, and getting started, installing the dev kit, basically the same things that I just went over. You'll be able to see here in getting started. Systems and tools. This goes over some of the interfaces they've added. So ground configure, blueprint networking, some guides, framework for custom cosmetics, freemium implementation, snap groups. This has some pretty great information. So this has some of the Discord links for the official ARK modding Discord. And then there is some community stuff here. And then the official cosmetic whitelist. This is the forum to have your custom cosmetic linked for the whitelist. And then there is the Discord as well. The ARK modding community Discord is a fantastic resource. You can post here pretty much whenever you want. If you have any questions and you're in the ARK Survival Ascended, you just go to ASA General or Blueprints, Graph, whatever it's related to. General is just kind of where everything ends up usually. You can ask a question here, and then me or any of these other wonderful people will answer your question. Joe, Quell, they're all very helpful. Plurpo is very nice as well, very helpful. If they know the answer, then they're typically more than happy to help. If they don't know the answer, don't be discouraged by no one answering. That means that we're probably busy, or we just don't know the answer. Sometimes somebody will say that they don't know, or they'll try to point you in the direction of someone who might know. But just because no one answers doesn't mean that everyone hates you. I've run into some new people that think that people don't like them for some reason, and it's just because no one answered. Everybody here is busy, and not everyone looks at this Discord all the time. There are some other resources as far as YouTube videos. If you do !AMCV, there's some tutorials by Buttman for mapping. Baruga has some videos for a CurseForge stream he did. Exolog, Jeremy Steiglitz, this is mainly related to the custom cosmetics. Mr. Trickster has some, Quellcrest, Slayer, Tempest Dragoon. Wildcard Workshop is by Zenro, and then WM Plays, I believe he's a mapper as well. And these are all great videos. I've only watched some of them, but if they're listed here, that means that they were evaluated to see if they were worth putting in the list. So these are generally good videos. The Wildcard Workshop has its own link, so if you do WCWS, it will list all of the Zenro videos, and he works with Wildcard. He used to be a mod creator, and then they hired him to do some of the networking stuff behind the scenes, and he's kind of the head of modding for Wildcard as far as I'm aware, and he shows you a lot of different tools and stuff about the ASA Dev Kit, and most of this pertains, as far as a beginner is concerned, most of this pertains to the ASA Dev Kit. Some of this is out of place as far as UE5 and UE4, but the general idea remains the same. And I've watched all these. They're all really good. The cooking process, you don't have to worry about that as much. Multi-use is a great video. Config, replication. Yeah, all the idea of all these is great, and they are very helpful. The one that people get confused about the most is replication, but whenever you're learning about that, it'll click eventually. It's kind of confusing at first for most people. But there's a jobs board for people offering money for a mod, or they're offering to pay for some service related to ARK Dev Kit. Teams board, these are modders or artists seeking other artists or modders for certain things to do a big project, etc. Releases and updates, this is to post your patch notes saying that you updated whatever mod. Show and tell, this is for modders to show off what they're working on. The 2D, 3D art, these are the sculptors and modelers posting things they're working on. It includes 2D art, but generally this is to show off 3D as far as modeling. Open source, these are just files that are either helpful to beginners or they're projects that aren't being updated as much anymore, and you can download them and see how they work. Some of these files are fantastic for beginners to learn how other developers do things, because a lot of the wildcard graphs are very spaghetti-like. They're hard to read. r/arc modding, this is just the Reddit forum. Editor requests is for modders to request that Arc or wildcard add a specific thing or change a specific thing. As a beginner, you probably won't have access to this channel. This is more for modders that have a better understanding of how things work and they know their options. Because beginners will run into an issue and they'll think that it's the end of the world sometimes, and then they'll post here when in reality there's workarounds, there's things to get around that issue. Tips and snippets, this is more geared toward beginners, saying this is an issue I ran into and this is how I got around it, or this is a common thing that you might not know about. This is fantastic. If you run into an issue, you can almost always find the answer by going to the upper right and searching for whatever your issue is, and just search keywords, don't search phrases. ASA references, this is for references for people to use, whether it's YouTube videos, whether it's graphs on how to do things, etc. And dev kit issues down here at the bottom. This is a forum of issues that we found in the dev kit that Zinro will look at, and he'll determine whether he can or should fix it. Hopefully you have a better understanding of how to set up your first mod and the ins and outs of the dev kit, as well as the CurseForge page for managing mod. Thank you for watching and have a great day.